Previously on the last episode. Hopefully I'll upload more decently from here. Well, so much for that. Life and overtime. Enough said. Anyways, while I was gone, I finally decided to start on a Super Nintendo game that's been on my radar for the last few years, and it's Terranigma. After I've beaten it, I said to myself, why haven't I played this game sooner? This review might be a bit different from my usual stuff, but it's a game I really want to talk about. Like seriously, Terranigma, it really captivated and enlightened me on how atmospherically impactful games can really become. Terranigma is a highly regarded game that people in the US didn't get to experience. It was released in Japan in 1995 and was available in PAL regions in 1996, so we definitely missed out. But hey, it was such a crime that PAL never got to experience Super Mario RPG and Chrono Trigger at the time, just to name a few. A bit of history: this game was developed by Quintet and published by NX. This is supposedly also a part of a trilogy they made, which consists of Soul Blazer, Illusion of Gaia, and the third, which is regarded as the one with the better mechanics and gameplay, Terranigma. And after playing this game, I'm going to definitely play the other two as well. Now, the beginning of the story is simple enough. You play as a boy named Ark, who you find out is a mischievous character as mentioned by the town folks. Might I mention, he was consistently told by the village elder not to open a forbidden door, which he ends up doing. He then ends up opening Pandora's box, freezing your entire village except you and the old man.
Young whippersnapper, you had one job and you didn't listen, god damn it!
He instructs you to leave the town village, Krista, which up until this point no one has ever done, and tells you to head to 5 towers to resurrect 5 continents of the world to unfreeze the village. Yes, these continents I've mentioned are literally our planet Earth, North America, South America, Australia, etc. After doing this task, you are then told to head towards the surface and bring life to these said continents, such as resurrecting the plants, birds, the wind, and eventually humankind. As for the rest of the story, I'd rather not mention it, as I really do think the journey is more meaningful than the destination, but I can tell you that it gets very somber and emotional at some points of the story. The gameplay is also a very simple concept. It's an action RPG with very customizable controls. When you kill enough enemies, you level up, thus increasing your overall stats, along with finding and equipping armor and weapons to get stronger. What I like about this game is that it doesn't feel like you're grinding to level. Monsters respawn after just re-entering the map, so you can easily get a level up that won't take a lot of your time. There's an emphasis on puzzle solving in the dungeons, which I must admit I got stuck a few times because either A, the hints were a bit vague, or B, I simply lost my sense of direction. If you're familiar with Zelda's Link to the Past, then this should be up your alley. You have simple attacks such as rapid stabbing, rushing, or dive rushing at enemies. There's also magic spells in this game too, but I haven't really used them as much, with the exception of the highest defensive boss in the game, which is Bloody Mary. I can also appreciate that if you do end up dying in a dungeon run, your level and XP are still intact and you just respawn at the location you last rested or saved. Speaking of dungeons, the design in this game is so well thought out that you can barely recognize it being a dungeon in the first place. Like dungeons being designed as a forest or canyon, and feels very natural to the area as if you're traveling through it. The music composition and the graphics are very stellar in this title. You can tell as it's showing the capabilities of the Super Nintendo. Sprite work, might I add, it is probably at the pinnacle of its time, along with Final Fantasy and Chrono Trigger, especially its Mode 7. Must have cycled through the Terranigma soundtracks more times than I could count. Now, by no means this game is perfect. Like level balancing, where you have to be at least one level higher, and BAM! You take less damage and inflict more damage. I've noticed there's a few grammar errors, though it didn't bother me too much since the story was pulling me in for the majority of the time. Oh, I even glitched while escorting the cub because I accidentally went out of the map. Other than that, I was so distracted by the positives that it didn't completely distract me from the overall experience. Now I want to also make this clear. If you're the type of person who plays the game for the purpose of just playing through it, you may be missing out. However, most of the time, you'll be playing through it for the story, watching the world get resurrected, and seeing how it all unfolds, as it only gets crazier. It's such a simple story, but with a philosophical theme of life and death. One mechanic you could end up missing if you rush through it is bringing the town prosperities up in order to advance technology. For example, like helping Eddie create the electricity, or Will, who ends up inventing the airplane, which then influences the town's civilization advancement.
For the sake of humankind!
You know, there may be factors as to why it wasn't localized in the US. Well, not just because the localization closed off at the time, but there was themes of religion and occult, sensitive topics like drinking, the meaning of loss and loneliness, that are very mature for a kid-rated game. Overall, I cannot emphasize enough that this game stands amongst the best in the Super Nintendo days, and I highly recommend playing it. To me, it now stands as one of my favorite classic RPGs of the genre, and I'm truly glad I embarked on this journey. Thank you all for watching. It's been a hectic schedule, but I really wanted to talk about this game. Feel free to leave a positive and negative comments, and if you played this game, tell me what you think about it. And of course, I'll catch you comrades later.